Okay, guys, there is a lot going on revolving around Nintendo and the NX, which we know is their next console, and some crazy rumors that started popping up today. Now, I first saw this rumor on Facebook earlier, on a gaming forum, a gaming page that I subscribe to with a bunch of fellow YouTubers and stuff, people who I know and like and trust really well. And I saw this, and I immediately dismissed the hell out of it. And I'm basically still dismissing the hell out of it, but basically the details have changed. So I saw this rumor, I didn't believe it. I said, "There's no way that this is happening." And then this rumor started showing up on, to be quite honest, larger publications, larger websites. As soon as I saw it on IGN and GameSpot, which it is now available on, I even have the GameSpot article pulled up. Excuse me. I knew that this thing has gotten out of control, and so I don't quite know what to do with this information yet. It's crazy, and I don't want to talk too much more about it until I summarize it. You probably know what I'm talking about. It was rumored today that Nintendo's next system, the NX, which we know almost nothing about, is going to start production October this year, 2015, be revealed in quarter two next year in 2016, which is around the time that E3 happens, and could potentially be set for release by summer, by July next year, as in they would reveal it in April or May or June at E3 and then release it the next month in July. Now, there are so many different angles to come at this from. I don't even know where to begin. It's actually a little bit daunting. I think that the first thing I think I want to say about this is that I just don't believe it. There are so many reasons why this doesn't make sense to me as a gamer and a Nintendo fan and somebody who's been following gaming since the mid-'80s. And everything that I've ever seen happen says that there is no way that this could possibly be true. It's why when I saw the first post and rumor about it today, I was like, no way. That is just the least true thing possible. But then this rumor just kept going out of control. And like I said, it's made it to some larger sites where it's like, okay, once IGN and GameSpot report on it, it's a pretty big deal. And to be fair, no one is saying it is even 100% true. It's all coming out as rumor right now. But the reason that I feel like there's no way that this could possibly be true and shouldn't be true if it was true, basically why I think it would be a huge mistake, is because it doesn't seem to me like Nintendo could possibly have their ducks in a row with this system that early. We don't even know if they are supposed to be still supporting the Wii U between now and then. Now, there are a lot of other quotes that have come out in the last week since the investor meeting, and even today since this rumor started, where Nintendo has mentioned, hey, we are still planning on supporting the Wii U and the 3DS through the launch of the through the launch of the NX, sorry, and basically alongside the NX. So there's no reason to think that, the Wii U will totally die or support will drop off as soon as the NX comes out, which seems conflicting because if it's a new console, shouldn't it sort of do that? But they're saying it doesn't, so I don't really know how to piece that whole thing together. Either way, it just seems like to build up a console, you need a couple years worth of investment into getting software ready, getting third-party companies on board, getting distribution, getting marketing and promotion, especially with Nintendo's crazy ideas where we know they have usually a pretty large message they have to try to get across via videos and people who get to see it in demos and putting it in stores for people to come play it, and E3 reports where people get to try it on the show floor and all these things. Like, if they're really looking at this time frame, which again they're not, but if they were, they don't have the ability to do these things. I don't understand why people think that this is something that they would do. Like, if you're going to release a system, especially with the Wii U being so new, but potentially being done by next year and the NX coming out so unbelievably soon after, I just don't feel like Nintendo has been spending the last 2 years developing this system to make it ready for launch so soon. There's so many ideas, you guys. There are 1,000 ideas with every sentence that I want to come at this from. The other thing is, if it depends on what kind of system the NX is going to be. If it's going to be the system that I and a lot of people think it should be, which is a really powerful system that has a lot of tech that's going to make it as good as the PS4 and Xbox One or better, it should be better because it's made several years later. If they're going to do that, then when were they doing this? I mean, because it seemed like Nintendo had been supporting the Wii U this whole time. I mean, nothing has showed us that they've been working so hard to make a system ready to go so soon that is going to be a next-gen system. I mean, a lot of this comes down to what the NX is supposed to be. If this is really a console, and they do say, okay, here's a quote that Iwata said just this last week from the investors meeting. He said, NX is a new platform, so the install base will have to be built up from zero. When the NX is launched, there already will be a certain volume of Nintendo 3DS and Wii U hardware widely existing in the market, so from a software business perspective, it would be highly inefficient to stop releasing titles for the 3DS or Wii U right after the launch of NX. So that tells us two things. He tells us it is officially a platform. It's not some sort of weird, quirky idea that's supposed to like build upon the Wii U or work in conjunction with the Wii U, which I thought maybe it would be. Especially if this rumor was true, I thought it would have to be true. But he tells us this: it's a new platform, so it's not working alongside the Wii U or the 3DS. It is meant to be a replacement. Because the other thing he says is it would be inefficient to stop releasing titles right after the launch of the NX. To me, what that could be saying is, you know, for a while after the NX's launch, we're still going to support the Wii U, but at some point it will die off because the NX will eventually become a permanent replacement for the Wii U, you know, a long-term replacement for the Wii U, where the Wii U won't be the system that we're supporting and people are playing and buying from Nintendo. It is going to become the NX, assuming the NX is solely a console, which I think it just has to be. So if that's true, then that means they would have to be delivering a real next-gen console, which means, again, I'm going back to the same idea. When were they doing this? When were they spending the time? They've been making games like Pikmin 3 and Mario 3D World and The Legend of Zelda and all these other things, Mario Kart and Captain Toad. Like they've made so many games, Super Smash Brothers, for the Wii U that are Nintendo games, you know? They are working on Star Fox right now. Miyamoto's working on Star Fox. So if they've been supporting the Wii U, which to be fair, Nintendo has, even though third party hasn't, how were they spending the time to make this ready to launch so soon? It doesn't make sense. Here's another reason why I think that this can't possibly be true. It is the worst business decision in the history of business decisions for a company as big and still successful as Nintendo. We're not talking about Sega when they were dying out like they did with the Sega Saturn. We're talking about Nintendo still in a really good position financially to talk about a system in June and then release the bastard in July. No, there are so many problems with that. The least of which is the fact that that's not the holiday. That's the time that you release a console. Nintendo even recently went on record stating how 60% of their hardware and software business is during the holiday. No company in today's market would be stupid enough to launch a system not in the holiday. And if they were, they would at least give it 6 months to a year of heavy marketing and promotion so that people knew the summer is the time you're buying this new system. You're not buying it in November like you would expect. You're going to buy this system by next summer, 10 months from now, next July. That's when you're going to buy this console. That's when you have to do it. You don't market a summer console 30 freaking days before you launch it. You just don't do it. And again, I go back to the Sega comparison I just made. It is infamous why the Sega Saturn failed. Like, the number one reason that the Sega Saturn was considered a failure was because that system was set to launch at the end of that year, 95, I believe, and at E3 that year, might have even been CES. I don't remember if it was CES or E3 or if they were both going on, but around that time, it was actually CES before E3 created, so maybe it was CES. The big gaming show, I forget his name, but the guy from Sega was basically like, the Saturn is going to be $399, and it's available tomorrow. He basically, like, pulled the wool out from under the entire market and everyone in the room and all of the press when he said the Saturn, which was supposed to be coming out 6 or 7 months later for Christmas that year, he was like, nope, just kidding, LOL, it's actually available tomorrow, thinking that was going to be a brilliant move and people were going to lose their minds buying it, and they didn't. And although the Saturn was a pretty good machine, I have a Saturn and I really like that machine, that was like one of the major nails in the coffin for that system, was doing that. Like, no, don't do it. Nintendo, if there's any truth to this, that would be the stupidest thing. I like to think that if there's truth to this, that the one thing that isn't true is the release structure. the reveal and release structure of we're going to reveal it in April, May, or June, and then we're going to release it by July, by the middle of the year in the summer. If anything, worst case scenario, or maybe best case scenario, however you want to put it, they would have to reveal it and talk about it when they do, which is, quarter one or quarter two or E3, and still at least make it a holiday 2016, even though it should obviously be a 2017 console or platform. I mean, I think that it sucks that we're potentially getting the system so soon next year. But if it was going to come next year, it's the holiday that makes the most sense. It gives the Wii U another year. We know there's got to be some games coming out that's going to make the Wii U worth it next year. And like I just said, you don't reveal the system and then launch it a week later. You just don't do that. It should be launching in 2017, but if you had to make it 2016, reveal it 7 months ahead of time and then release it during the holiday when you've had time to hopefully market it a little bit, and it's going to sell more because it's the holiday. Like that's how you're supposed to do those things. Now, let's look at the angle of if this is true. If most or all of this is true, just God help us, but if it's true, here's a big aspect to this. And I've touched on this a little bit, but I want to dive deeper into this. And that is what the system would be. How powerful is this game? What kind of system is this? I don't feel like, if this was true, to me, I don't think we're going to be getting a traditional system. And I don't think we're going to be getting a system that has a lot of the features and the power under the hood that all of us want it to have, and that we all know really it should have. The Wii U is an amazing machine. You have never heard me once say anything bad about the Wii U. It's a great machine. It is more than capable enough power-wise to create the gameplay experiences that I like to play and that I like to look at. It's getting the job done. It looks better than last generation. The controller is fantastic. The games are amazing. Third-party support sucks. Some features are behind. But what matters most are the games and that great controller, and the visuals definitely get the job done. So the Wii U is a great machine, okay? I love that thing. But considering the fact that it hasn't done as well as it should, considering the fact that Nintendo had a lackluster E3 where they basically said, yeah, we're moving on from the Wii U, it's basically we have to move away from it, so we knew something like this was coming, like, it shows us that, okay, what Nintendo can't do next generation is what they did with the Wii U. They can't make their next system another slightly underpowered thing. They can have a quirky idea like a Wiimote or a gamepad or something, but they can't focus too heavily on that. What they need to be successful again is an extremely powerful machine that has their first-party amazing games and a solid selection of third-party games, and honestly, a regular controller. Not because I think that they should be held back in their ideas, but that regular controller needs to be a huge focus of what they do just to get them back in the game the way they need to. I thought with the Wii U, my hope this whole time has been that they've positioned themselves in a way where they're completely okay and comfortable selling as few Wii U's as they had and just moving forward, and they're still making a profit, and the system has great games, and people who own it like it, and that they were comfortable with that, and they didn't have to start doing these things that Sony and Microsoft do. That was my theory in the back of my head. What's happening right now, these rumors, and if this was true, it's telling, and the fact that they're moving away from it like E3 showed us, to me tells me that that isn't true. They weren't happy with it. They want to make more money. They want to sell more units. By the way, I didn't even mention that Nintendo plans to sell 20 million units of the NX before the end of the year. That factors into this. 20 million units. So, whatever. So they are trying to compete directly with, I think, what Sony and Microsoft's sort of thing is. I mean, they have to be, right? So that means they have to build, admittedly, even though this may not sound great for a lot of Nintendo fans, they have to build a console that's extremely powerful. And they have to focus more on a regular controller than a Nintendo Innovation controller, because that is what sells to those larger market. The gamepad and the Wii Remote, well, the Wii Remote doesn't really count. The gamepad only sells to, like, really unique gamers. It doesn't sell to the wide audience like Nintendo hoped it would. So they can't have something like that again if they want to do the kind of numbers that Sony has done, that the PS4 has done, and try to be more competitive in that market. They can't do it. They can have something like that, I guess, with the system, but man, they got to focus on some regular gaming and some killer third-party content. So the reason I'm bringing this up is, to me, everything's lining up saying Nintendo needs to not do quirky, innovative things again, at least with this next system. They got to go hardcore. They got to go third party. They got to go regular controller. They got to go crazy, insane, powerful with unbelievable graphics. They have to do it. So if that's the case, That is like reason 1,000,000 why this release structure of the NX makes even less sense. I don't think that to release a system in July this year, or even December, or November, I should say, but if they were going to release a system in July 2016, I don't think that the system they would have ready by that time is that crazy powerful machine. I don't think that's what the NX could possibly be. I feel like they need more time, and they need to strengthen and heal third-party relationships, which are very grim right now. And if this was coming out at the end of 2017, that's 2 years away. There could be enough time for that. That's 2.5 years away. There's enough time between now and November 2017 to heal and repair third-party relationships, to develop and market a really excellent machine, and to make it extremely powerful under the hood and capable of all these other features and amazing graphics that people and gamers demand today. They have the time to do that in November 2017. But in freaking July 2016, next year, no, they don't. I don't think. I mean, I don't work for Nintendo. I don't create consoles. I'm just speaking as a gamer and a fan. But I feel really good about that. I don't think that any of these rumors make any sense for all of those reasons, and okay, they plan to sell 20 million units of these things by the end of next year. Okay, so let's talk about that rumor for a minute. What system are they making that's going to sell that many units by the end of the year? It certainly isn't going to be a $400 or $500 crazy powerhouse machine. There is no way Nintendo thinks that they can release a machine that's twice as powerful as a PlayStation 4 and costs $400 or $500, which a lot of us would like them to make, but that's going to cost that much money, and sell 20 million units by the end of the year. If this rumor was true, and Nintendo wants to sell 20 million units by the end of the year, we know how Nintendo thinks. How would they expect to do that? With a really, really inexpensive box. Something that's going to cost $100 or $150. And you know how you make a machine that costs $100 or $150? You make it really underpowered. You make it not do a lot of things. You have very little things happening under the hood in the guts of that machine to make it $100 or $150, to make sure that you sell 20 million units in 6 months to a year when you're coming off of a system that has no one excited. I'm running out of reasons to even say why none of this makes sense. So anyway, I just tangented 1,000 times, but that's like a good summary of most of my main thoughts going into these rumors, okay? And obviously, I'm very passionate and heated about this because it's just insane to me. Because it doesn't make any sense, but even if it was true, it makes even less sense. And so that's why I had so much to say about this. So when you look at all of those factors I just said, that's why I don't think it's true, I talked about how it could happen, why it would happen, what they would have to do to make this happen, and all of those ideas were completely batshit crazy, and that is the very reason why I just know that this can't possibly be true. I mean, am I wrong? Do my points not make any sense to you? Do you guys really think that it makes sense for this rumor to be true? And if this was true, do you agree with Nintendo? Does any of this make sense? Here's what else. This is going to have to be basically my last thought. If this is true, if every single fact here is true, when they plan on announcing it, when they plan on releasing it, that they plan to sell 20 million units, that they're going to continue to support the Wii U afterwards, which actually is a good piece of news, and, my ideas on if it's going to be really a cheap machine that doesn't do a lot and isn't the next generation of machines that's going to be really inexpensive, I'm nervous. I am really terrified for Nintendo, and I don't know how I'll feel about it. I would question Nintendo more than I have ever questioned them. And I would question their future. I'm not really, right now, even with the bad E3 and all these other things and the lack of Wii U sales and all these things that we all talk about negatively about Nintendo, I'm not really worried about the future of Nintendo. I feel like they're fine. DNA is going to help. Amiibos are helping. Maybe they're partnering with Disney. That could help. They're doing the Universal theme parks. That's going to help. All these things are good, right? So I believe that Nintendo can sustain themselves in their console business and keep making good machines and good games as of right now, and never have to go third party and never leave gaming like some people want to say. Now, if this in the next couple weeks or months or whatever, or days, proves to be true, that will scare me. I will be worried that Nintendo is setting themselves up to actually have to do something horrible, like become a third-party company, or stop making games and start focusing on Amiibo toys and cell phone stuff. All these things that I've said I don't think are in their game plan, And it should be noted, I'm going to maintain that right now, I don't think that. I don't. I think they are fine. They're smart. They're finding other ways to generate revenue through mobile and theme parks and all these things and Amiibo, and they're putting that money into making what I think the NX probably, hopefully, will be a really powerful, awesome next-gen machine that releases in 2017 or beyond. You know, I think that that's where they are right now. But this rumor becoming true would shatter all of that. You know, not only just in my eyes, but I think it would just factually shatter all of the good things that Nintendo has going on. I don't think anyone in the press is going to talk about it like it's a good idea. You're not going to see IGN and Game Trailers and GameSpot and NeoGAF and everyone else in the world talking about it like, oh, this is great. Nintendo's releasing this really weird, cheap box that isn't awesome and is going to cost $100 next year. Like, no one will be saying that's great. If Nintendo came out and was like, this is the NX, it's twice as powerful as a PlayStation, it's coming out November 2017, it's got a regular controller and it's got this other awesome controller and we're going to have third-party support, people will go nuts for Nintendo. Even if some of those things are true, people will be very positive about it. This rumor, man, I don't think anyone's going to be happy about it if it turned out to be true. This is a long video and I have a lot to say about this and I'm really adamant about my feelings about it, you know, as you guys can tell. I'm calming myself down now. I'm nervous about Nintendo if these rumors are true, but I don't think they're true. My last official thought, I remind you guys at the end of this video here, I don't believe them. And I hope that the reasons that I explained today show you my logic and why I think it would be illogical for any of this stuff to be true. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen, because crazier things have happened. Nintendo's a nutty company, you know, and if this turns out to be true, I promise you I'll make another video swearing up and down how sorry I am and, hey, I was wrong, you know? I mean, if I have to admit that I was wrong, I'll admit that I was wrong, and then I'll talk about the facts when we get the facts. But I am going to I'm going to hold my breath and say I am 100%, 99% sure that this is not true. There's no reason that this is true. You know, what do you guys think? Like I said, do you think that my points make sense? Do you think that I'm crazy? Do you like the idea of this being true, or do you dislike the idea of this being true? What do you think about this insane stuff, you know? I hate it. If you couldn't tell by this video, I hate these rumors. I hate this idea. None of this sounds good to me. I am the most impassioned Nintendo fan possible. You guys who know me and follow the channel know this about me. And I don't want any of this shit to be true. None of it sounds good. It does not excite me about the future of Nintendo. You know, so that's it. The end. Those are my crazy thoughts, you know. I don't even know how to end a video, you know. I'll say that that's it. And I really want to hear your guys' thoughts, you know. And, if, you know, this is Rob from the channel Rule of Two Review. Thanks for tuning into this wacky video where I yelled about these rumors that I don't think are ever going to be true. I hope that they're not. And, yeah, I'll catch you guys next time on another video.